Hi, welcome to the Business Boost Workshop. I'm Tamara Monosoff, and I'm delighted that you're here. And this topic of today is your product hot or not? And I'm going to give you 5 simple tips to really start the process of getting this question answered, which is often one that is really on our minds as we're developing our products. So I am delighted to have you here, and I would love if you could go into the chat box and just let me know that you can see my screen. You should see a rocket ship. And also, if my volume's okay, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page together. And let me know where you're from. I love to check in and see where everybody's. Hi, Mary Ellen, Melody, Cynthia, Justin, Bonnie, good morning. Linda, Lynn, we've got Kiara, May, Pamela, Rebecca, Rick, hey Rick, Sherilyn, Linda, Mark, fantastic. I'm so happy you're here. And let me know as more people are adding in. Hi everyone, I'm so delighted that we have so many people joining us today. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to jump right into our topic. I am going to walk you through our first 3 tips of today, and then I'm going to tell you about the how hot is your product system, and then I'm going to tell you the final 2 tips, and I have a great gift for you that I'm delighted to share with you, and then we'll open up the conversation for questions and answers. So I want to get through this so that I get to your questions, but in the chance that I can't cover everybody's question, I'll do as the best I can. You can send an email following this webinar and let me know if there's a question that you didn't get answered, and that you can email it to journeyon@tamaramonosoff.com. Okay, good. Everyone says all is well. Thank you so much for letting me know. And got a lot of people here from New York and Redwood Shores, and fantastic. Hey, Bonnie. All right, let's go get started right away. Here we go. Okay, so the goal of our workshop today is to discover if your product is hot or not. And here is the road to success. And today we're going to start with the first step, which is really studying your market. In my other programs, we walk through the steps of discovering great materials, protecting your idea, finding the money, making the goods, and landing retail accounts, as well as getting the word out about your product. Today, though, is about taking action and focusing on your market. Now, with market research, it is absolutely the most important step, and it is the most often skipped. And it's really not the fault of entrepreneurs because experts, as you know, you've heard this, I'm sure, always say do your market research, but then they don't tell you how. And I had to learn the hard way over a very long period of time. I've been doing this now for a decade. And so that's my goal, is to share with you how you discover and uncover this invaluable information to really inform you about whether or not, in the end, if you have a viable business. So before we start, I just wanted to kind of get your mindset, kind of help shape the way in which we need to look at market research. I have heard over and over again over the years how one's product becomes one's baby. People say, oh, it's my baby, and it's because you've worked tirelessly at this and you're putting your whole heart into it. And I really understand that. But my wish for you is that you remove yourself when you're doing your market research. And what I mean is that you see your product for what it is. It's a product. And your goal is to find out if you can make money with your product. And it is not a baby, because a baby loves you back and your product does not. So you've got to really have this more of a healthy framework, if you will, in terms of looking at your product. So I'd like you to imagine that you, and I really want you to imagine this, like sit there and think this through. I want you to imagine that you are on the product development team at Procter & Gamble, and your job is to evaluate a new product that is being considered. by Procter & Gamble. And your job depends on your recommendations and whether or not they are solid and sound. And your boss has this expectation of you that this is what you need to give very solid evidence as to whether or not Procter & Gamble should invest, and they're relying on your advice and based on what research you have found. I want you to have this mindset as you are evaluating your own product. So tip number 1 is looking at the big picture. What is the big picture? And you can find this type of information through census.gov. There's census data. However, I find the most valuable, or one of the most valuable tools, is through your professional organizations. And they have trade industry reports that they share sometimes for free on their sites and sometimes for members only. So that's a great starting point, is to go to your professional association, like the Juvenile Products Manufacturers Association, JPMA, if it's a juvenile product. Housewares, if you have any sort of houseware type product, kitchen gadget, this will fall under housewares. If you have a pet product, American Pet Product Organization, a beauty supply type item, can go through Pro Beauty. And you can find these organizations in Google by putting in what type of product you have plus industry. Another great resource is simply Google to stick statistics in parentheses plus your area, your industry, or even your product type. And be sure and experiment with how you're doing these searches. But when you do statistics plus, you will be blown away by the information that already exists and will be right at your fingertips. And sometimes it takes a little bit of sleuthing, but again, you'll be amazed. Public companies have what are called 10K investor reports. This is probably one of the #1 resources that entrepreneurs don't realize that they have access to. I had no idea that this information existed when I was going through this myself. And when you go to a public company and you go to their investors tab, they will have the reports there. They're required to report to their investors annually, and they have professionals writing these reports. You cannot believe the amount of data that they give about the market as well as future trends, because they're tracking if the market is growing and in what areas they're growing. So this is one of those amazing resources that are available to you if the company is public. Now you can find the company contact information, and which oftentimes will help because they have their websites listed by going to zoominfo.com. And you don't have to pay for ZoomInfo. You can use it for free. There are services that are available at the paid service, but I have found that I get what I need simply by going and using it for free at ZoomInfo. And I'm going to show you an example of ZoomInfo in a little bit. But now this is how we gather this big picture information. I want to give you an example of this information. I typed into, this is big picture data. I found this information in less than 2 minutes. I want to say 1 minute. I simply typed statistics and pets in America. And I was imagining that I had a pet product for a dog, and I wanted to see. And look at this. According to the 2013-2014 APPA National Pet Owners Survey, 68% of U.S. households own a pet, which equates to 82.5 million homes. Incredible data at my fingertips in 1 minute by putting in statistics plus the industry. Then let's imagine I have a product for dogs only. Here it spells it out in the millions, and it says that there are 56.7 million households with dogs. That's a very large number. Now, this is where most entrepreneurs stop. I hear this over and over again. They say, well, that's such a huge number that even if I get a tiny little percentage of that number, that's good for me. But I'm telling you, it's really not enough. It's a great starting point as we're starting to piece together this puzzle. But this is the big picture data, and now this takes us to the tip number 2. Tip number 2 is that you need to gather specific data from consumers. You need to ask people, what do they think about your product? Would they use it? If not, why not? How much would they pay for it? Which stores would they expect to see it in? And ask them all different types of information about the product. Is it something that they would use? What color should it be? What features need to be added? I mean, get really specific in asking these types of incredible questions that will get you invaluable feedback. And then look at the power of this. When you do surveys, to be able to say that 80% said that they experienced the problem, and then you're able to use these statistics as you're reaching out to retail buyers, that is invaluable data right there. Plus, of course, it's informing you as to whether or not your product is hot or not. So you need to find this out. If you find in your surveys that 1% experience the problem, then you realize that maybe you're overvaluing your product. And so you can dig deeper and go to interviews and interview people about it. The key here is really to not get people to tell you what you want to hear, but instead, remember, being objective as an employee for Procter & Gamble, you're really wanting to know. And keep in mind, this is your money that you're dealing with, not Procter & Gamble's. So you've got to really hear what people are saying. And if this is something they're not going to use, just ask them why not. You know, how do they currently deal with this issue? And what would they change if it was their product? Because maybe it's just the way that it's conceived, but with some variations and tweaks to the design, it could very well be what the person wants. It's just that they haven't articulated that. It's just that they really dislike the color or the way it attaches to something. So sometimes it's just these easy little fixes and tweaks that really get consumers excited about the product. You can also have informal focus groups. I say informal because you can do this without spending any money. You can ask a friend to host an informal focus group for you, but make sure that the people in the room are not your friends, beyond the one who's been kind enough to host the party for you, because you want to have objective points of view, and you need to set up the stage by saying, look, I'm not interested in you just patting me on the back and saying good idea. I really want to hear you all discuss this in terms of whether or not this is something that you would use, if you'd want to buy it, and all the questions that I mentioned earlier. Intercepts are where you stop people in their natural environment. And a quick story, I know some of you know this story, but one time when I was developing one of my products, it was for children, young children. I had it in my purse, and I happened to take my children out to ice cream. And I sat down, and it was a beautiful day, and everyone was sitting in a circle. And I suddenly realized there were about 20 parents and their kids running around. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is a perfect opportunity to jump to my feet and just ask people if they'd be willing to give me some quick feedback and introduce yourself and say, hey, I'm developing this product. I would love to take 2 minutes of your time and just ask you a few questions. Is this something you would use? If not, why not? You know, what designs are your favorites, and all of those questions. So I can't tell you how much invaluable information I got on the spot from doing that intercept. And so sometimes when you have an opportunity, you have to just seize it. So that's a great way to gather information as well. Now, tip number 3 is one of my favorites. Complaining is an incredible opportunity. When you hear people complaining, realize that this is a great door opener for you, that you can find out what the issues are around the product. So how do you find and jump into conversations that are going on online? In quotation marks, type in complaint about, and then the problem that your product solves, or the nature of your product. You're going to, down here is tip, use variations. So use all different word variations because it'll bring up different searches. But the key here is the complaint about, and then the type of product or product your product solves. It is so exciting when people are complaining and then you've got a solution to this problem. You can also search on Google and put in solution for, and then you're going to see what people have come up with a solution. Also, it's going to bring up competitive products that you may not have found. So definitely search this way as well. Type in blog about and put the subject area of your product, because you want to jump into any discussions that are going on, and then if there's comments or underneath the blog, you can start communicating and saying, hey, you know, I've experienced this problem, you know, what solutions have you come up with to this problem, and start getting people engaged and talking about it. Reviews is also another tactic. So you want to type in reviews on and then put the issue that your product addresses. Amazing opportunity here to jump in. Not only that, keep your ears open, because it may trigger other product ideas. You may have one idea, but then you think, oh my gosh, you know, they're talking about this, and this would be a perfect product line. I could add all these different, either these different elements to my product, or I can also consider some new ideas as well. So just wanted to throw that out there as a possibility. Now I'm going to quickly tell you about, as I mentioned, the How Hot Is Your Product system, and then we'll do tips number 4 and 5. So the How Hot Is Your Product system is what I'm deriving these tips from right now, except for that it goes much deeper. And this system comes with the book, the workbook, and the step-by-step online video system to walk you through each and every step. And the videos are all online now. They're not in CDs. They're all online and available to you 24/7. And it digs deeper into the market research. With regards to feedback, it gives you guidance as to how to deepen your questioning with your surveys and interviews, to ask questions in a way that really bring out more information so that you can learn more about your product. Also touches on how to do patent searches, and in order to benefit from this research that's already done by other attorneys, the manufacturability of your product, safety considerations, profitability, competition, and distribution. So I just want to let you know that for all of you who are here as part of this webinar, I'm doing this. I've never done this price before. I'm offering it to you for $97. It has been on, the regular price is $397, so you're going to save $300 if you are interested in getting this product. And let me just help you out right here, and there you go. You should see it right there. So you can go ahead and grab that if you wish for the $97, and meanwhile, I'm going to jump right ahead into tip number 4. Okay, so let me get back here. Okay, good. Phew. Okay, tip number 4, know the competition. I cannot stress this to you enough. I've had people come to me who have already gotten patents, who have trademarks, and within a few minutes I have located products that are almost identical that they had never seen before. I don't want this to happen to you, and there's no reason why it needs to happen to you or should happen to you, because this is how you do it. You can search in U.S. stores, both online, check in catalogs. You can go to catalogmonster.com, see all different types of catalogs, walk physically into all different types of stores, check on Amazon, and then this is the step that's often skipped, Alibaba.com, which is a global marketplace. You have got to check that marketplace as well, because I'll see things on Alibaba and the next thing I know they're being sold in Target or Walmart. So you've got to make sure that you're checking all these different avenues. And also you've got to make sure that you've got to figure out, how is your product different? When I've been at the table with retailers, in the room with the buyers, they want to know why they should remove a similar item from their shelf when it's already selling well. Why should they kick that one off and put yours in and into their space? You have to be very convincing, which is why, by the way, those surveys and that data is really important to back up what you're saying. Because if you just go, well, because mine's better, that's not good enough. You have to say, mine's better, here's the market, here is what people are saying, and of course, you've got to build the case, if you will, for how your product is different, and if it's different enough for consumers and retailers to be willing to switch from what is currently being offered to what you're offering. Okay, and let me give you an example. That was my little bell telling me that I'm going to wrap this up soon, but I'm going to keep on going for just a few minutes because I have more to give you. So Zoom Info is a great way to look for competition. So let's say you know that there's one company that is clearly your competitor, but you're not really sure about other ones. So here is Zoom Info. Remember before I told you to go to Zoom Info, you click on this blue Companies tab, you type in the name of the company that you know, and then here's the corporate information with their website. Oftentimes companies won't put their investor reports on their main web page, so sometimes you have to go here to get this corporate information. Then look at this. This is what they have identified as their top competitors on the bottom right. So then you can click on all of these links to see what they consider to be their competitors, and then you can learn and see what products they have. So this is a great tool, and notice that I've used this for free. Now if you want to pay, you can get contacts information with the executives, and that may make sense down the road if you're wanting to sell your product to this company. But for these purposes, in terms of market research, this is a great free tool to use. So how would I go about this myself in terms of market research? I want to know what's out there. So let's say I have a gardening trowel, and I start out and I'm looking at this catalog, Plow and Hearth, and I see that there's a gardening trowel for $9.95. Then I check out Walmart. I see that there's a gardening trowel for $17.98. Williams-Sonoma's offering one for $24.95. So you want to start doing this search and looking and seeing what the products that are already out there that are competitive with yours. Now let's say mine is most like this one that's almost $10. Just keep that in mind as we go forward. Then I'm going to search Alibaba, and I find a gardening trowel, and here it's $1.30 to $2.30 per unit. And just for a quick little review of Alibaba, FOB means freight on board, which means that that's the price in China. That does not count freight forwarding from China or any other country. And then just really quickly, if you want to contact them and ask them questions, you contact the supplier here. You see how many years they're in business, and make sure you favorite it. There are thousands and thousands of items on Alibaba, and so if you don't favorite it, it's hard to go back and find. Even if you search the same way, sometimes I've had difficulty. So back to what we're doing here with market research. So now I know that this is what they're selling it wholesale, but how I'm viewing this is if I hired this company, this factory to make my trowel, I can estimate that it's about, I'm going to just say $2 to make the numbers easy, $2 for production costs. Okay, so then the question is, as part of your market research, can you make money with your product? And this also is a step that people often miss because you get so wrapped up in the pricing. And also, sometimes people say when you go over to China and you're like, oh my gosh, it's just $2, you're still not thinking it through. So that's why I'm putting this here for you, because I want you to be successful. So again, let's imagine that my gardening trowel was $10, similar to the Hearth and Plow one. And so that's the retail price that's paid by the customer. Then you've got to consider that if you're selling it wholesale to retailers, you have to cut that number in half, which is $5. But that's also called 50% margin. That's what retailers are wanting to make, is 50% margin. Another way they say it is they want 100% markup. So you'll hear these different terms. I remember when I started, I was like, I have no idea what anybody's talking about. So I just want to share that with you now. Here, okay, now here's the $2 of the production costs. That's an estimate that I got from looking at what Alibaba's charging. So then I can say, okay, $5 at wholesale, that's what the retailer is going to pay me, minus my production costs. I'm going to earn $3 gross profit margin, and that's 60% gross margin for me. That's pretty good. So again, a lot of times if you find this piece out, you think, well, gosh, I can make $3, but you have to do the other pieces of the puzzle let me just quickly say this. You have to do the other pieces of the puzzle because you have to have a full picture. You can't just have a partial picture of it. And your production cost should be 20% of your retail price. That's just the math that is a good way to gauge. Okay, so we just talked about big picture. Is there enough people out there who will buy it? What do people honestly think about your product? You're going to find out through surveys and interviews. And what does the competition look like? And can you make money? These are 4 pieces of the puzzle. And of course, in the full system, we dig a lot deeper and we talk about legal, manufacturability, safety, profitability, and distribution. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to questions. So go ahead and pop your questions right into the chat box. Oh, wait, the gift. Don't go away. Let me just tell you this. I'm going to send each of you the How Hot Is Your Product checklist. This is a quick start checklist. This is just a cross-check to make sure that you're on track. You'll all get that in a separate email. I'm going to send that to each of you for being here. Again, this is the special price for $97 just for those who are participating and registered for this webinar. Okay, with that said, questions. And I'm going to go over to the chat box and start answering your questions right now. Okay. Questions, anyone? I know that there's a bit of a delay in the system, and so I want to make sure that I'm getting your questions. And so go ahead and ask. Hopefully I'm going to be seeing them right here. So as I'm waiting for your questions to come in, I just want to just let you know that, you know, this is a process, and to be kind to yourself through this process, because I know it can feel overwhelming, but that's why I wanted to break it down into these simple steps for you. Because again, when you just are looking at either the big picture or the pricing, or just, you know, people, your friends and family telling you that they like your product and you should go for it, these are all just little bits and pieces of information, and I really want you to feel confident in your decision to go forward with your product, and to know in the end, can you make money with it, because it's going to take a big chunk of your life, and I want to make sure that, you know, you're covered. And Pamela, this formula is absolutely for your own. You said it sounds like this formula will work for selling someone else's product, not just my own. Absolutely. You really could be on a product team and do this for someone else. So these are the steps that you need to walk through and make sure that you've got an answer to each piece of this puzzle to get this really comprehensive understanding of what you're talking about, because otherwise it's all in the air and you're making decisions based on hope. And I understand that, because we all hope that our products are successful. In fact, we're fingers, toes, we're losing sleep in the night, hopeful. But I want to give you some concrete data and information to back up your decisions so that you are like, okay, I am good to go. This makes perfect sense. I've got the markets big enough. I've got people saying, yes, when is this product available? I want it now. And then you get, you know, whether or not the pricing is going to work for you. So, and Marianne, you're asking how important is packaging design? Very important. You've got 3 seconds to grab people's attention with packaging. Your packaging needs to be simple. Go into the store and look at the packaging of other products that grab you. I was really surprised. I bought some hot chocolate from Starbucks. They had a new box, and there was almost nothing on the packaging. It was so clean and simple, and it was just hot chocolate. And I loved it. It was so simple, and I bought it. And so look at other packaging that speaks to you, that is clear. Emulate it. Take it, show your graphics person, hey, this is the kind of simplicity that I'm looking for. And by the way, I've done market research on if you're trying to sell to the mom market, and simplicity is key today. People are too busy, stressed out, racing into the store trying to get what they need. Your product has to be simple and clear. So basically, your package is your communication tool, and it has just got to be spot on in terms of grabbing someone's attention and clearly stating what's inside and why they want it and need it. Okay, Lynn, we plan to start selling our product online before we start talking to small business retailers. How much revenue should we aim for before approaching them so they see our product is selling? Well, you know, it's always the chicken and the egg, right? When you're starting out, because you've just got to start somewhere. So you don't have to wait. There's no perfect amount of time. Do your best, like reach out initially with your initial launch to everyone you can think of, your friends, your family. Give them a coupon to purchase, put it on Facebook and Twitter, and invite people to come and buy one, get one free, or do something thrilling and compelling to get them to buy. And then that way you can start gaining some traction, and then that way you can then go to these retailers and say, wow, you know, I just blew through X number of units within this week, and I'd love for you to give it a try. And by the way, here are some testimonials about what people are saying about my product. And that's a way to really create engagement. So there really isn't a magic formula. You just need to, you know, do what you can to start selling, and then give people a reason to buy from you. So give them a coupon and let it be something that it can become viral, that doesn't expire, that you can forward on and on and on and invite their friends. Okay, I know we're over, but let me see. I'm going to quickly answer a few more questions. Dawn, thanks, from Dawn, thanks. Oh, you're welcome, Dawn. How do we know if we need product liability insurance? Yes, you do need to check on this for sure. You may have heard my story before, but I had someone contact me who had an awesome product, who had reached out to a big box retail store, who then said, yes, we want it. All we need is proof of your product liability insurance. And she didn't have it. She went to find a product liability insurance and found that she couldn't get it because of the nature of her product. That is a really sad story. It does not have to happen to you. So make sure to go and find out if you need it first. One of the best ways to find product liability insurance is, well, there's a couple ways. One is you can go to the industry in which your product makes sense, because oftentimes those industry associations will give you resources. Another great resource, if you already have a broker for any kind of insurance in your life, let's say you have house insurance, renter's insurance, life insurance, go to that broker first because you already have a relationship with that person, and then if they don't sell that type of insurance, they can then give you a referral based on a personal recommendation. So that's a really good way to find if you need product liability insurance. You have to contact a broker and see if you need coverage. Okay, thanks everyone, and there will be a replay of this, and I will send you your gift directly following this webinar, and I really appreciate you being here. If you want to grab the How Hot Is Your Product System, grab it now, and I look forward to seeing you at the next Business Boost workshop. Take care. Bye, everyone.